key projects in the field of IT, social entrepreneurship, politics, FMCG, fashion, and NGOs. On a consultancy level, she communication expert and consultant in field of political PR, internal marketing and brand management. Dr. Novoste is proud feminist and an activist in several international women leadership organizations. And I've seen recently that she was there in, I think, some United Nations forum over there, and she was talking about that, projecting the women over that. That's so nice of you. She is continually working on corporate social responsibility awareness projects and philanthropic movements targeting needy children, poverty, and disabled students. She was rewarded in several occasions. One of the program of Dutch government. She's a proud fellow of US State Department and Japanese International Cooperation Agency. So with these words, this is a brief introduction, and you can search on Google if you want to see her full CV. Just one information that our director, sir, because of some urgent work, so she's not there, and within 5 to 10 minutes she'll again join, and then we'll also invite director IITTM to say a few words over that. But in the meantime, don't waste time over there. So I'm inviting Dr. Ljupka to please start your today's lecture, and in between, so if director IITTM will be here, so then we'll also inviting him to listen his words. So now over to Dr. Ljupka, ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Dogra, and namaste everyone from sunny Macedonia. It is morning here, so good morning to everyone. Please know that I'm very honored to be invited to speak at this online series lecturing panel. I'm sending my special regards to Dr. Dogra and Professor Sharma, and everyone else, including in this panel. I hope everyone is very aware in what kind of times are we living and working at this moment, and how important this kind of communication, online virtual events are, not only for the industry of tourism, but for each industry and for everybody who is trying to help this situation. So I'm going to share my screen now. I hope everyone is hearing me well, right? Okay. Are you successfully observing my screen? Okay, perfect. So as introduced at the beginning, I am going to share some findings with you, and hopefully going to hear more from your side about a multidisciplinary topic, which I themed digital marketing strategy for tourism recovery after COVID-19. So as I mentioned before, when we talk about tourism, we don't just talk about also talking about a very complex, interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary branch that is affecting the global economy severely. In order to follow this lecture more profoundly, I have divided into 4 different topics, which are the strategic role of tourism in the global economy currently, the world and the digital marketing, which will explain where the digital marketing as a tool and a resource stands now at this very point. We're going to briefly tackle the topic about the customer buying persona after COVID-19, and I'm very much welcoming your thoughts on these topics as well. And finally, I'm going to offer a digital marketing strategy map or a tool that each organization, institution can use it for recovering after this pandemic, with a special focus, of course, on tourism. And in order to follow this interdisciplinary topic well, I have extracted and assembled few findings that I believe are very good as an introductory points. So we need to make it clear that this is the industry that has been the most severely affected by COVID-19. And the first response to the pandemic of each government or each institution or each region in the world was to close borders and to ban travelings. So from that point, actually, I will agree with the authors whose quote I'm gonna share with you, is that the framing of the global tourism system moved from over-tourism to non-tourism to zero tourism. And according to other authors, they are claiming that the recovery will last up until 2023, which means we have about 3 years to prepare our resources in order to tackle this problem efficiently. So raising awareness of this very important issue, it's very important for each one of us, regardless if we are directly and indirectly involved in this industry, because in any ways we are connected with it. Another point that I want to share in the introductory slide with you, that this is not just an economic industry that is contributing to the global economy, but it is also the very industry that is contributing to the global inclusion, diversity, familiarizing ourselves with different cultures, folklore, food, history, etc. So that process of globalization, diversity, and inclusion is extremely supported, even dependent upon this industry. So we're facing also not only economic, but also cultural and social crisis when we are actually having problems with tourism. But from the other hand, other types of experts who are doing more environmental research are saying that this industry is producing some positive side effects that could be treated as a resource for planning the future behavior of any kind of experts. And those would be the decreased level of air flights, the decreased expenses of having global meetings and having those meetings reallocated online, as we're doing in this very moment. Even the lecturing of students, international students, having reallocating them online has decreased expenses and possibly decreased pollution, air pollution, and tackling the green environment. So maybe if we if we interrelate the negative and the positive changes, we might reshape the way we think about planning the future strategies for recovering, knowing that we may be obliged to focus on qualitative rather than quantitative growth. But before we continue with that, I want to share with you how important actually this industry at this very moment for the global world and global economy is. As you see from this chart borrowed by UNWTO, up until 2019, the end of 2019, we are facing a very rapid growth in the tourism industry, which is quantified with 4 up to 5% annual growth, which is extremely high and significant number.
Hello, just a second, ma'am. Sorry to interrupt you. As I already communicated, Director IITTM has just joined us. So although he's very busy today, because of there is some another function is going on and the preparation for that, where the Honorable Tourism Minister will have to attend that. So just for 2 minutes, I'm inviting Director IITTM to just say a few words and also welcoming today's lecture.
Should I stop the sharing of my screen or not?
Thank you, Jeet, the coordinator who is coordinating this web lecture series. And I'm sorry, everybody, as I just disturb you in between the lecture of Ljupka, Naumovska. I'm sorry, I couldn't pronounce it in the right way. So, no, please, sir. And I welcome everybody here on this platform. And I was listening Ljupka ji, Madam Ljupka, and the data coming over the screen is so interesting. It will, no doubt, it will take us to some solutions which we are facing, for the challenges we are facing. These type of studies and the statistics takes us towards the solutions of the solution of the challenges which we have this time in the tourism industry, no doubt. And I'm seeing there are 136 people are here from the tourism industry, and most of them are having IITTM tag with them. So I'm really proud of this particular gathering here. And I won't disturb you much. I welcome everybody. I welcome Ljupka ji. I welcome all the speakers who is joining this session today and will be a part of the same in the coming days. And we will again, no doubt, we will have a different discussions and group discussions over this platform only with all the experts. And I told Jeet also to just note down all the important things. So whatever we are talking, it should be have a practical implementation somewhere. So thank you very much. Thank you very much, everybody here. Thank you very much, Jeet. Thank you very much, Ljupka, and all the people here. Please be continued, Jeet. Please continue. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Now over to ma'am. Please continue.
Well, thank you, Professor Sharma, for these very constructive notes. I'm also very honored to share this event with you and to stand among such an amazing people from all around the world. As we mentioned, as we talked before, so this chart is clearly visually representing the rapid growth of the industry that has been stopped by force now. But as I mentioned earlier, we are not only talking about one isolated industry. In terms of number, we're talking about 1.5 billion arrivals per year up until end of 2019. We are talking about between 4 and 5% of annual growth. We're talking about 8% contribution to the global economy, 7% contribution to the global exports, and 10% or 1 in 10 jobs worldwide are actually related directly with tourism. So what we are facing is not so pleasant, and it urges every one of us to think about how we can actually contribute to solving this issue. And in context of India, I found this data that are extremely important, that over 9% of the contribution to the Indian GDP is contributed by tourism. So this is a very clear understanding why India and the Indian Institute for Tourism and Travel Management is putting such an effort to open this topic globally. And it is indeed a global issue. If we continue observing the issue in the first quarter in 2020, where we stand in the time frame now, we see a very sad numbers. As you see, Asia has been severely affected. So the Q1 in 2020 is extremely high. We see a 35% of decrease in the tourism industry. Again, we see Europe with 19, Middle East 11, Africa 12. So the world average of the global tourism decline is estimated to be -22. So we are expecting, unfortunately, even worse numbers in the second part, on the second quarter. So as we mentioned before, I think it's very important to break down that the understanding of this pandemic. It is not only a health pandemic, it is also an economic and social pandemic, and it's affecting each one of us on a different level. Before going into what actually the marketing strategies or any kind of digital communication strategy can we offer in order to offer resources for dealing with the recovery, we need to understand ourselves as customers, our psychology as customers that has been severely affected by fear and uncertainty and potential or very active poverty. So I have assembled few findings from different authors, including my personal observation, that I really want to share with you in order to understand what is the mindset of the current customer or the future customer. So our consumer behavior is changing and evolving as affected by the over-dominated news with fear and uncertainty. It is important to note in terms of economic standard that the middle-class consumers who are the biggest number of travelers, are becoming more and more value conscious. I wouldn't say poor because we don't have the data for it, but definitely more value conscious. In terms of expectations from consumers, we must be aware that consumers are going to expect from brands to offer more, not only to the clients or the tourists, but also to offer more to the community. So brands and destinations or hotels who are actively involved in dealing with COVID-19 or any related natural disasters will be valued much more. Another aspect that consumers are going to expect is flexibility in terms of cancellation or flexible rates or rebooking in different timeframes. Selling too hard, this is very important, selling too hard will damage the brand value on the long run, because having people dying every day or the disease having spread globally or in some parts of the world is the major and the most priority issue. It is not the sales. So that's why sales should be wrapped in a good story, but not to be enforced. In another way, that people will be more media literate, so people will be more focused on finding tools and ways to get more information, sometimes unfortunately even fake. Sorry, but we want to have to learn how to deal with that. People will be more likely to travel less, but stay more nights at the destination once they decide to travel. It is important also to know that that communicating with loyal customers will be very crucial. And another 2 points I want to share with you would be that the customers are currently over advertised with concept of fear and uncertainty. So that's why offering content which is lighthearted, ease, or even kind of loose, I wouldn't say funny, but definitely loose, will actually offer them a concept of thinking that will relax them from the uncertainty they are dealing with. And of course, what I want to stress out, that different customers belong to different generational group, and that should be also taken into consideration when targeting customers after COVID-19. So as a wrap up from understanding what customers after COVID would be featured with is definitely uncertainty, fear, lower income, or a fear of a lower income in future, very open mind and heart for solidarity, the digital literacy, and of course tech savvy. So going further on and narrowing the topic toward digital marketing resources, I want to share with you some findings just to make it clear that in the digital marketing world, there is a whole universe already there that is only strengthening and raising with the COVID-19 pandemic. So up until January 2020, we have 59, so 60% of the total of the global world is active user of internet. I repeat, 60% is active user of internet, out of which almost 50% are active users of social media, and almost 70% are active users of mobile devices. So these numbers are not only growing on a yearly, but also on a monthly, and even in this pandemic, on a weekly level. So we can safely presume and anticipate that during the lockdown and the way our lives have been forbidden to move, these numbers are even more higher and serious. What is also important to note, the different age groups, baby boomers, millennials, Generation Y, and Generation Z, they are using and approaching the content of digital media in a different way. So that should be also taken into consideration. It is very interesting to note that you should not jeopardize in your digital communication tactics baby boomers who are born between 1964 and 1946 and 1964, because the number of baby boomers who are actively and proactively using social media digital marketing is surprisingly increasing. So this is not a new thing. That the world is dominated by digital technology is not a new thing. It's happening almost for 2 decades. And also tourism, even before COVID-19, was severely dominated by digital marketing and technology, knowing how many of us as tourists has already booked their flights or their accommodations via Airbnb or other platforms that are making our life and traveling easier. But now it is expected that this trend is going to continue even more. People will much avoid physical contacts with tourist agency or agents, and they will try to find those kind of communication and agents on a virtual level. And it's very important to note that if digital marketing is raising rapidly, even more aggressively is rising the mobile digital marketing. So having this in mind, we have to plan our strategies and models accordingly. So I have assembled all findings given by amazing authors before COVID and during COVID. And I have actually given this umbrella that I call digital marketing strategy for tourism recovery after COVID-19, segmented in 3 pillars. One is positioning, or shall I say repositioning. The second is content, and the third is media platforms integration. So I'm gonna start with positioning. And talking about positioning, I must say that we should rethink and reshape our way of understanding growth in future. As I mentioned before, we should be more focused on quality than on quality. So these are the changes that are going to affect our brand positioning. First of all, we have to understand that robots, artificial intelligence will be employed more and more. The room service maybe in hotels will be more common, and shared economy and shared kitchen will be definitely out of the picture. The tour operators will be very specialized in small groups. Another important note is that there will be less people willing to travel, to go to a travel agency to book, so online channels should be very much employed. We should be all prepared to shift our unique selling proposition and highlighting the safety and the solidarity in aligning it with the global message of the pandemic. And it is important to know that I have consulted a lot of experts in this field, and they all agree that local and regional travel, even drive market travel, will be more important than international tourism, at least for the short future that is coming. So local and regional travel, domestic tourism will be extremely important. Another point that I want to share in terms of the first pillar, the positioning, is that the messaging will definitely should not be sales and aggressively oriented. It should be very authentic. It should be wrapped in a very authentic storytelling, and it should communicate safety and intimacy, and that whatever is authentic for the destination or the hotel or the region. So moving forward to content, I have divided the content as the most important part in 4 under pillars. Destination rebranding, it has to be done. Sustainability, flexibility, and solidarity. We're gonna start with the destination rebranding. The image of the destination that has been shared before is wonderful to be extended within the context of the pandemic, communicating safety, health, and cleanliness. So I want to open just a quick discussion maybe with the creative teams that you may employ, but in terms of, in the context of India and sharing the world famous tagline, Incredible India, which is amazing, maybe in this case, we can discuss about extending this brand. I'm not talking about completely deleting, I'm talking about a brand extension that may be communicated in new hashtags, but with a focus on safety. And when we talk about safety, we have to obey the fact that even the world that is shaking hands as a hello, for example, the part in Europe, we are now organically employing the Indian way of saying hi, which has come completely natural. So maybe the creative team can play with that. It is the world's safest hello ever, at least the pandemics. And my very safe assumption is that we're not going to shake our hands for a very long time from now. So we can play with this element as well. In terms of sustainability, the second pillar of the content that I want to share with you, that the marketing industry is already obsessed with this term. So we have to go with the flow, and we have to obey the positive changes that some experts are communicating and are arousing from this pandemic. So eco-friendly hotels may be on the rise. Also, the demand for rural locations will show a significant growth. Mass media, but also online channels, should be employed for empowering the domestic tourism promotion and the community level engagement. And we should also be very careful how we actually combine and integrate mass communication and social media, of course, with the respect of social distance. The third pillar that I want to communicate with you in terms of creating content is the issue of flexibility. So customers, as I mentioned before, they're gonna rate and value flexibility on a very high level. So it's very highly likely for them to be easily engaged with every content that is offering flexibility. So prepaid rates are unlikely to be booked with the present level. So we have to promote flexible rates and allowing guests to move timing of bookings to a new dates. So embedding flexibility in our core message is extremely safe and important for our customers. And in terms of MICE concept in tourism that has been completely affected by the global changes, we're left with a very poor choices. So this is a wonderful example how we are going to keep MICE concept alive, having virtual or hybrid events that are offering combination of both technology and offline events. In terms of solidarity, this is actually the fourth pillar. It is very important to employ this word in whatever content we are creating, because there has no been better times for brands, regardless if they're destination brands or hotels or touristic agencies, for them to be employed, offering a greater good and giving back to the community. So considering maybe partnering with charity that is dealing with the COVID pandemics, or perhaps even some kind of consequences for the pandemic, such as poverty, would be a good thing to offer now. It is also highly recommended collaborative strategies between the private sector and the public sector as well. And my recommendation would be, if not done so far, to be jointly partnering with the World Tourism Organization and adopting their already very popular hashtag, stay home so we can travel tomorrow, and adopt their messages for solidarity and hope, as many countries have already done that. Moving forward and narrowing the topic, we have just finished the content, and I'm going to share with you some highlights for how we're going to integrate whatever digital marketing is offering now, because we have to be honest, it's a kind of a mess. We have a lot of tools, we have a lot of media outlets, and we have a lot of rules how to and how not to communicate different targets. However, integration of all tools and media and platforms has never been more important than it is now, because we have a lot of variety of options. So these are the highlights I want to share with you. It is very important to spread positive news via digital marketing outlets. We have to remember that we have to keep on advertising our destinations, hotels, or facilities using the international advertising tools in digital content, such as Google Ads, Facebook Ads, YouTube platform, Instagram platform, even LinkedIn. So the campaigns are to be a crucial point in marketing and promotion. But also it is very important to analyze, to follow Google Analytics, Facebook Insights, Instagram Insights, everything that has been offered by the platforms for free. In terms of messages, I'm going to repeat myself. We should be empathic, positive, and uplifting. People will remember how we we are making them feel during the pandemic. And they're customers, as we know, are extremely emotional at this moment. We should remain connected through our system for customer relationship management. We should employ keywords in digital marketing strategy. We should be very focused on making a lookalike campaigns, and we should be very much careful in demographic targeting. We should definitely optimize SEO and search engine marketing. And what I am strictly offering in this very moment is to implement 24/7 live chat option, which is actually at this moment an antidote and a solution for fake news. So we are bombed with information. For example, yesterday, the European Union and the European Commission could not make an agreement upon a European Union borders reopening. So there were a severe fake news all over the world. So one way to deal with it is to open 24/7 chat live options and to offer our customers a very fresh and a concrete information regarding any topic that they are concerned with. And everything I just shared with you, I have assembled in this map. I have mapped in this charter, this information that I'm offering. So the digital marketing strategies for tourism recovery is something that we already have. What we need to know is how to assemble and integrate media, content, and repositioning strategy in order to proceed from now on to communicate the customer whose mindset is severely changed. So as for the beginning, I'm always offering one platform to be the key pillar for every other outlet. So having one web platform to offer integration is very important. So people, our customers or tourists will always feel free in case they miss some information to go back to the main platform instead of them having them search whether Instagram or LinkedIn or Facebook or whatever other platform. So one main platform is very important. Out of that, other platform can be created, of course. So this is the chart, this is the umbrella chart that I'm offering, sharing all this information, actually explaining all this visual information that I've shared before. And my sincere opinion that I want to share is to integrate, and offer 24/7 live support. So having said that and sharing this visual chart, I'm just wrapping up the conclusion, and thank you for listening, and very much welcoming your question in the further minutes.
Thank you, ma'am. That was really wonderful to know that. And your presentation has covered all the aspects when we're talking about digitization and the digital marketing. What's the recovery strategy after COVID-19 that is applicable in Indian scenario as well as it's applicable in the global scenario. So now with all these, your lectures and all, we'll proceed to the second part of today's lecture, and that is questions from the participants, and one by one I'll share the questions, and then you'll share your own thought processes that how we have to deal with that. So please allow me to share my screen. Ma'am, please stop sharing your screen.
Okay.
Thank you. So the very first question that we are seeing on the screen is question number 1. That is, marketing is all about creating awareness. There's a spelling mistake. Psychological assurance about product or services. So in context of tourism, how can we provide psychological assurance about medical safety and security to our customers after pandemics? So now over to ma'am. Please share your views on this question.
Thank you. This is actually a wonderful question that cannot be answered by sharing only one sentence. This is actually the core issue everyone is asking themselves now. It is true that marketing is about assuring the customers that what the brand values are communicated, that are the values that are going to be experienced by the customer. So we have to know that nobody can claim 100% certainty that we have the expertise to deal with this problem, with this pandemic, because if we extract some findings from SARS of the swine flu pandemic as the most similar on this pandemic, one thing is clear, that none of the crisis communication offered in the past is applicable now. There is something I need to share at this moment. So each crisis has their uniqueness. So your question is very good, because we are actually going to learn one by one how are we going to deal with the crisis. One thing is that we have to be very visual. The brands need to be very visual in the way they actually communicate the safety and the medical safety as well. So applying infographics, applying daily updates, and assuring standardized system that has been approved by WHO of how to deal with customers in hotels or in resorts or other facilities is very helpful. So customers, first of all, are very visual, then very research oriented. So offer them a very profound and comprehensive visual and chart data of what are the standard level of cleanliness or safety in the facility, and that will definitely increase the awareness and the trustworthiness of the brand. Was that enough?
Thank you, ma'am. So now the next question, that is question number 2. Yes, the second question is, if more digitalization would be the industry, so it also leads to more unemployment. So how would we deal with that?
Well, that is one of the states that I don't agree with. I completely disagree that digitalization means decreased numbers of people employed. On the contrary, it means even more people employed. But for sure, at the same time, it means switch in job position and job descriptions. So it will definitely offer switch in the titles and the job description, and people should be aware that a very good percentage of the current jobs will not exist, but a very good number of good jobs will be employed. So digitalization does not mean decrease of employment. On the contrary, it means increase, but in a new industries that are very much affected or interrelated with digitalization. So you may be very peaceful on this, but you should definitely, whatever industry you are, Raizada, you should definitely start learning more about digitalization.
Okay, the next question. Let's move to next question. So third question, how digital marketing is helpful for hospitality industry? I think after means talking about after COVID-19. That's the question.
In so many ways, I think we shared so many examples and findings of different authors in this presentation. Digital marketing is already very much interrelated with hospitality industry, even now before the crisis. And the assumptions are that this trend is going to proceed in future on a very tight and stronger level. One example would be that if you have an option to talk with touristical agents in an office or virtually, a customer will now definitely choose virtually. Another option is that the mobile marketing is very much employed in digital industry now, in tourism industry now, not only for booking, but also for geographical aspects to find certain location or maps, etc. So it's a trend that is definitely going to be boosted in future by any means. One example to share with you is also to be able to rebook your vacation, for example, to use your digital platforms, and I'm certain that this trend is going to be very helpful.
Thank you, ma'am. The next question, question number 4. I hope you can read it. It's too long over there. So it's today time is related to digital marketing. It's very important, and because of internet penetration, what if Indian government decides to create digital profiles of tour operators? So on one portal and do the digital marketing on behalf of the resulting in business. So tour operators and government may share the profits for agreed terms. So we just need your comment as an expert comment over there. So over to you.
Yes. So as I mentioned before, the cooperation between the public and the private sector is extremely important now. The government should definitely create platforms for integrating the tour operators, not only the tour operators, but also the hotels and other subjects of the companies that are part of the tourism industry in India. I'm going to share an example of what is going on in Macedonia. Is a good example. The government is offering vouchers that the customers, that the tourists can only use in domestic hotels, which is, I think, a very good instrument and strategy, which is also related with domestic tourism. So creating one platform that will going to embed all companies from tourism industry in India will definitely support it. But sharing the profit between the government and the companies, I wouldn't suggest, because the government will actually raise their budgets by taxation. So I think this platform should be done on an altruistic level, so that the economy, especially the microeconomy in the tourism industry in India, will be helped. So they will support the government by supporting them with the taxes, of course. So this is a wonderful example of what you're sharing. Thank you.
Next question, let's move to, there are 2 more questions. So the next question is challenges of digital marketing during this pandemic. I think we, ma'am, already have talked about that, but if you want to say a few more words, I think today we already talked about that. Over to you.
I wouldn't say that the digital marketing will face challenges, and whatever digital is raising at this moment. But digital advertising could be jeopardized because brands are not very much optimistic about sharing their budgets on digital advertising. This morning when I woke up, I saw a news that Coca-Cola has actually stopped the digital advertising and they're moving their content into organic. So what I would say that digital advertising, paid or sponsored, could suffer from some points, but marketing as a holistic concept will definitely not. So digital marketing and digital communications is definitely on the rise.
Okay, let's move to the next question. How to promote the untapped destinations at regional places? There is a lack of amenities and that destination. I think this question is all about through digital marketing and all that. How can we promote? Because India is like plenty of untapped destinations over there. So your take on that. Over to you, ma'am.
One of the methods should be lookalike campaigns. I hope you know what I'm talking about. In case you don't, I can share with you some articles about lookalike campaigns, because there is a very good number of global tourists who are very much eager to go to untapped destination. I can feel the good intentions of the question, because I also come from a country that has a lot of untapped destinations. but it needs to be embedded into a strategic platform. So you cannot leave this to the rural community to deal with. It has to be part of the global or national strategy. And this is the perfect time actually to boost the untapped destinations, because they are perceived as more secure, not overcrowded, exciting as well, and authentic. So they have all four important characteristics to be promoted, but you cannot leave them to do that organically by the local community. It has to be part of the strategic tourism recovery of the government or the community where they are established. Lookalike campaigns, very precise demographic targeting online that the tools are offering for free would be the tools that I'm gonna suggest for you to employ. But actually, these kind of destinations are considered to be the most popular in the upcoming time. So there's a very good potential to the untapped destinations. And thank you for asking this question.
Thank you. And then the last question, let's move over there. Question number 7. Okay. I think that's all. So from our side, so there are total 7 questions till now. Thank you so much, ma'am, for your time and your insights on all these questions. Although we are having plenty of other questions, we keep a note of that, and then when we'll prepare the detailed report of that, so we'll again need your expert opinions on that. And then in future also, just for the information, we're planning to launch one book of all these lectures, the 10 lecture series, so that with the help of these videos and these books, we'll be able to somehow create a kind of message for the Indian tourism stakeholders, so that will help us during and after the pandemic revival. Now with these words, I'm welcoming Dr. Chandrasekhar Barua from IITTM Gwalior. Is the chairperson of MBA course and placement in charge for the formal vote of thanks. Over to sir.
Good afternoon, Dr. Ljupka.
Good afternoon.
I welcome you again from the city, Gwalior. It's a great city, famous for music. And it is a city known for Mia Tansen, who was in 15th century AD. So Gwalior once again is a land of music. So from the city of Gwalior, land of music, I welcome you. A special thanks to you on behalf of me, IITTM, and the Professor Alok Sharma sir, director of this institute, who is controlling Gwalior, Noida, Bhubaneswar, Nellore, Goa, and 2 new centers. I hope you heard these names of the cities because India is so big. So he look after North India is a Noida center near to New Delhi, the capital city of India. In South, we have Nellore, Andhra Pradesh state. East, we have Bhubaneswar in Odisha state. And West, we have Goa. I hope you heard maybe Goa. And 2 new center, Northeast Shillong and Bodhgaya, which is in Bihar, another eastern state of India. So Professor Alok Sharma sir is the director of all 7 centers.
Amazing.
So on behalf of director sir, again a special thanks to you that who plan in a very large way that 10 Saturdays, in your knowledge, I hope you're aware about 10 Saturdays are very important one continuously. Today is the 3rd Saturday. We are very privileged with your presence, with your brief note on today's topic of digital marketing strategies for tourism recovery after COVID-19. A good number of participants, they are attending in India. Even some foreign participants, professors also attending. Me as a faculty, very much enlightened with your knowledgeable session. So once again, thank you to you. In Gwalior also, we have print and electronic media. They are doing the coverage also about today's session. Thanks a lot to you again, and I wishing you a good day. Thanks to all participants also. So over to Dr. G. Dograji, coordinator of this International Web Lecture Series. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. C.S. Barua, Chairperson, MBA Program, IITTM Gwalior. And again, I'm thanking Dr. Ljupka for her lecture and the active participation and the expert opinions. This is an information to everyone. We just crossed 1,615 registration for this lecture. People are from across the globe joined us for that lecture and all. So the registration is still growing and all. Next lecture will be on June, the next Saturday, that is July 4th at 1:30 Indian Standard Time. This is UTC plus 5:30 hours. Now the next lecture, the next expert, Dr. Gul Erkol Bayram. She's also with us, and
Yes.
I'm again welcoming Dr. Gul Erkol Bayram, and she'll take lecture the next Saturday. I'm just inviting Dr. Gul to please introduce yourself and a brief about your lecture. For just your information, she'll talk about tour guiding, as tour guiding is her the expertise area, and she's working actively in that, specifically in Turkey. And now I'm inviting Dr. Gul to please introduce yourself and just a brief about your lecture, so that all the participants, so they'll get ready to listen you and looking forward to you next Saturday. Please, ma'am, over to you.
Thanks, sir. Hello, everybody. I am briefly introduce myself. I am Dr. Gül Erkol Bayram from Sinop, Turkey. I am working Sinop University, the Department of Tour Guiding, as associate professor. I am also professional licensed tour guide working Turkey. It is so honorable to give lecture in next platform, in this platform. I am going to talk about changing dynamics of tour guides post COVID-19, a roadmap of Indian scenario. My special thanks to IITTM, director of IITTM, and also Dr. Dogra. I kindly invite all the participants to my lecture. See you.
Thank you, Dr. Gul, to introduce yourself and about your lecture. With these words, we are about to conclude with lecture 2. And on my screen, I'm seeing Dr. Frank Sai from US. He's again a very supportive. Dr. Lazaro Florido, again now is already a member of IITTM Global Family. So, and Dr. Ljupka is here. Dr. Yuvraj is also there from UK. Hello, sir. And our the nodal officers of all other centers, Sabir sir is there, and people from our Nellore center, Dr. Sanjeev Reddy sir is also there. I'm seeing there. Please on your videos, and a lot of our students, alumni, so all people are there. On behalf of IITTM family, I'm thankful to everyone by your active participations. That really